walk you through some of the things that either didn't get covered or just recover a few things. There are some conditional statements that are going to use a Venn diagram. Do you know what a Venn diagram is? I bet you did them in like 4th grade. It's circles and it's overlap with circles, okay? So if I did something like, if an animal is a robin, then it is a bird, okay? If I were going to make a Venn diagram for this, now a lot of you are probably thinking of Venn diagrams like this, right? Is that what you remember from a Venn diagram? Okay. With conditionals, they don't look like that. So you're not going to do this kind of Venn diagram. You're going to do a circle with another circle totally inside of it. So you have one category, and within that would be other categories. So think of it this way. If an animal is a robin, then it is a bird, right? You have two different things going on. Robin is one category. Bird is another category. Do you think robin or bird goes in the bigger circle? Bird, right? The bird is, there's a lot of different types of birds. One type of bird is the robin. So when they ask you to make a Venn diagram, that's what they want from you. The bigger category is the big circle, and the subcategory inside of it is that smaller circle. Okay? Sometimes they're going to ask you to write a conditional statement from just a statement. So if I said, dolphins are mammals. Could you make that a conditional statement for me? What's a conditional statement? If then, okay? So could you turn that into an if then statement for me?
Yes.
How?
If an animal is a dolphin.
Right. If an animal is a dolphin, then it is a mammal, okay? So if an animal is a dolphin, then it is a mammal. So sometimes you have to add a word to the idea because a lot of times people want to say, if a dolphin is a mammal, and then you have nothing else to say, right? So give it a subject. If an animal is a dolphin, then it is a mammal. Okay, conditional statements. Okay, then on to some of the things that weren't on the video, okay? A negation. We didn't talk on the video about negation, but what do you see when you see the word negation? Negative, okay? So like positive and negative, those are opposites, right? A negation is just the opposite of a statement. So if I said something like, the sky is blue, the negation of that would be the sky is not blue, right? It's just saying the opposite of whatever the statement said. So what if I said, it's not cold outside? What would the negation be? It's cold outside, okay? So you're just saying the opposite with a negation. The reason we talk about a negation is for these next two types of statements, conditional statements that we're going to talk about. I'm going to walk you through, there's 4 types of conditional statements that we're going to do. 2 of them you already know, okay? So here's your setup. You have the original conditional, which we said is an if-then statement, okay? And I'm going to show you this without a bunch of words. I'm going to show you with just letters for now. So if my conditional statement is if P, then Q, okay? That's how we would say that, if P, then Q. What would the converse of that be? The converse would be if Q, then P, okay? We're going to talk about 2 more. One of them is called the inverse. And an inverse takes the conditional and it takes the negation of both parts. What was a negation? Saying the opposite, okay? So if it was if P then Q, Now the inverse is if not P, then not Q. Okay, so you say if not P, then not Q. Okay, that's how you would say that one. So it's a little tilde, not P and not Q. And then you have the contrapositive is the fourth type of statement. Okay, and the contrapositive, any guesses if we have if P then Q, if Q then P, if not P then not Q, what's the last combo we could do, Angelina?
Not Q then not P.
Right, so the contrapositive is if not Q, then not P. Okay, those are the four types of statements that you're going to have to write. So let's just try one with a statement here. One thing to note, a conditional and its contrapositive will always have the same truth value. So if the conditional is true, the contrapositive will be true. If the conditional is false, the contrapositive will be false. Okay, it doesn't have to be that the other two are the same as the conditional and the contrapositive, but these two will always have the same truth value, and these two actually will always have the same truth value. Okay, so let's say I said if a figure is a square, then the figure is a quadrilateral. Okay, so that's my conditional statement. That's my first statement. If a figure is a square, then the figure is a quadrilateral. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. If it's a square, it's got to have four sides, right? Okay, what does the converse say? If a figure is a quadrilateral, then it's a square. So we took our two parts and we switched them. Is it true that if a figure is a quadrilateral, then it's a square? No, right? Because you could have a quadrilateral that is something like that, right? That's a terrible quadrilateral, but you get the idea. Not a square, right? But it has four sides, okay? So that one would be false, the converse. What would the inverse be? If the figure is not a square, then the figure is not a quadrilateral. Is that true?
Yes.
If a figure is not a square, then it's not a quadrilateral. That is false, right? Your inverse is false because a figure could not be a square, but it could be a trapezoid, which is a quadrilateral, right? So the first part's true, second part is false. That's a counterexample to it, okay? And then your last one, what would your contrapositive say? If a figure is not a quadrilateral, then the figure is not a square. Is that true? That's true, right? And like we said, conditional and contrapositive will always have the same truth value. So I knew that was going to be true before I ever read the statement, right? So those are the four types of statements you're going to be working with. You're writing a lot of words, okay? That's just the way of it. It's logic. It's reasoning. It's you thinking through what makes sense here. So yes, chapter 2, if you're not a big word person, might not be your favorite chapter. I love this one. I think this one is just, it's fun. It's reasonable. It's rational. It's logical. Yeah. Any questions on any of that? Okay.